Right, so LSU ladies take care of Middle Tennessee yesterday. And as we said in the intro, kind of a tale of two halves for LSU basketball yesterday. But ultimately able to take care of business as they down Middle Tennessee to advance. And just too much offense for LSU yesterday, 83-56 as they win there. Flaugier has really turned into, over the last couple of weeks and really probably all season long, is the heartbeat of this team. And here in the tournament in the postseason, it is proving each more every night out. She had 21 last night. She was 6 of 10 from the field. She shot 80% from the foul line, getting there 10 times. Man, she was aggressive in the way that she was creating fouls, was getting to the free throw line. She's now scored over 20 points 6 times this season. Even her last time doing this before last night was against Ole Miss in the SEC tournament. So she's starting to find some consistency with her offense out there. Angel Reese recorded her 14th consecutive double-double. She had 20 and 11 after a 14-point second half yesterday. Anissa Morrow joined Reese with a double-double of her own as she finished with 19 and 13. Morrow had 3 assists to go along with her one 3-pointer, and then Michaela Williams had a loud 16 yesterday as she hit an enormous 3-pointer that really quelled some momentum from Middle Tennessee and gave LSU the boost it needed to kind of close out the Raiders there as they took care of business 83-56 this weekend. It was a bad start for LSU though. LSU was struggling. Much like they were earlier in the weekend.
Yeah, been having these slow starts.
Little lulls.
Turning the ball over a little bit, but I think they only had 7 turnovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kim Mulkey.
I mean, the turnovers against I'm trying to think who they played against Rice.
It was
Coach. It was unbearable.
It was like they were going back and forth, just passing each other the ball, throwing it away. The first probably 10 minutes of the game was like that against Rice.
It was like watching PE.
Yeah.
It was like going into a 7th grade gym and being
roll the ball out.
Go ahead, kids. Use up all your energy.
You take 5, you take 5.
I mean, it was what are they doing, man?
Couldn't set up offense.
But look, I think LSU is, as we said, playing right at the right time. You can see the limitations that they have in the depth. They've got to have production and output and confident play from last Tierra to be their best, because it's obvious there are going to be some matchups that just do not suit Haley Van Lith from a defensive standpoint. Offensively, we've been saying, and I to a degree, I feel almost bad for Van Lith in the sense of she's out of position. And you can see when she plays in position, when she's off the ball, how much more comfortable of a player she is and how much more engaged in the game she is. And there's going to be some matchups and some games where it just doesn't fit. It's kind of it's just out of place, right? That's why I think the debate of Van Lith going to the WNBA is almost ludicrous. It's crazy because she needs another year, and it's not a league that really suits her well, no matter when she goes. I believe. She's going to have to find something that she can do from a specialty standpoint, get to the rim, mid-range game, knock down threes, whatever it is from a kind of a consistent standpoint to be, because I just don't know who she's going to guard, right? That's the only drawback. I think that's the apprehension of playing her, is just she gets into some situations where she's just a mismatch. And there's some foot speed drills and some things that she could work on to improve that. But, offensively, don't be mistaken. Haley Van Lith is a dog. She's a player. She's just being asked to do something that it's not necessarily her strong suit, right? And she still is able to manage it and really produce and help the team. So, that's why I believe Last Tierra Poa has to really be a threat for the next 4 games if they close this thing out. Right? Like, she's got to play at a high level, and she has been. I think that, she understands that for LSU to be their best. But, when it comes down to it, somebody's going to have to guard Morrow, somebody's going to have to guard Reese, and somebody's going to have to guard Williams, and somebody's going to have to be able to match up with Flaugier athletically. And that is all 4 on the court at the same time. And take the limitations of the depth, take all that's what's surrounding LSU. I don't care where those 4 play. If they're playing together on the same floor, LSU or whoever they are is a problem. So for as limited as LSU is on a depth standpoint, and they are, that's their weakness. You still got to go toe-to-toe with Reese, Morrow, Williams, and Johnson. And you sprinkle in a little bit of Haley Van Lith and Last Tierra Poa and Elena Del Rosario. And, that charge they called on her yesterday, that could be in a sport that is polluted with horrible officiating. I mean, you watch the NFL, the NBA, college basketball, and, college baseball, and you're like, man, this is horrific. Women's basketball is the worst. Like, they blow the whistle sometimes, and they don't know what they're going to call. Like, there was a situation on Friday, they blew the whistle, both of them kind of looked at each other, it was like, what you got? I don't know, what you got? I mean, and then, I don't know what Del Rosario was called on offensively, but the official couldn't wait to give the crow hop and the, and you're like, well, she's even like, she's got the ball, she's like,
got to get that TV time, coach.
What happened? What did she call? Look, I'm not. It's not because of it's men versus. I'm just telling you. I watch all of it. It's all bad. Oh, goodness. Right? Like I tell little Jay, if I see you complain about a call, the officiating's bad. Bake it in. Build it in.
Part of the game.
Don't worry about it. It's always going to be from here till the end of time. And I'm a referee. Like I'm an official. I wore stripes 3 weeks ago. It's always going to be bad. It's always going to be inconsistent. Women's college basketball is on another level. It's on another level. I mean, like they don't even know what they don't even. Sometimes it's like what. What did they call? It is amazing. And, that is a little bit of a concern around LSU because of the lack of depth. If you get into one of these games where you got a couple of,
foul trouble,
just morons on the whistle, and they, they blow up Reese for 3 fouls in the first half or get her a quick 4th in the second when she's just, playing straight up and they call her for a charge. I mean, they don't, or whatever they try to call her for. Then, that is definitely something that I'm worried about to try and, keep this team alive. I mean, and it's a probability. That's a very high likelihood and probability that they're going to get into a game that is like horrendously officiated. But you just got to bake it in, And I will say for this stuff that's coming down on Kim Mulkey and the Washington Post and Pat Forty and his quick little social media fingers tweeting out on Saturday.
Big story.
I hear there's a story brewing with the Washington Post and Kim Mulkey. Wagons are circling. Like, Pat, bro, your credibility is so shot, and your little schoolroom cafeteria dramatic episodes of calling everybody over to listen to what you got to say and then finding out that it ain't nothing but a big dud all the time. Nobody really cares of your tweets keying everybody off of a hack hit story coming on a coach from a periodical and a news service in the Washington Post that is one of only a handful of newspapers still alive. I'm not making any excuses for Kim Mulkey, and I'm not saying that what I believe is right, but what I am witnessing, what I believe is happening, is nothing but a political hit piece. For whatever reason, over the last 4 to 5 years, everything has become politicized. Everything is politics. For whatever reason. And Mulkey has been outspoken in that time period as much as any athlete, as any coach, as anybody from a public figure has been, right? I mean, good, bad, or indifferent, we all see the polarizing figure she has become and is. And to me, it dates back to when she made a comment about the vaccine. And whether you agree with it or disagree with it, I don't care. I'm not going to give you my stance on it to make it politics, because it has no business here. It has no business in college basketball. But that, to me, is what this is all about. It just comes back to politics. If you looked at the vitriol, the poison, the hate that people were spewing on social media when talking about this story, it's led with terms like MAGA and Trump supporter and Donald Trump voter. Like, how do you even know all that? Like, I don't know all that. I don't know that. I have no idea. I mean, I guess it's safe to assume that, but I don't definitive. I've never seen that anywhere. Her come out and say that's her stance. I've never seen like what Belichick did, write a letter to him and say to read it at a rally. I've never seen, heard any of that. I guess we can all assume it. Right? But that to me is what all of this is. You know, I mean, you're talking about a writer from South Carolina, a graduate from South Carolina, in a business and a trade in selling and reading newspapers that it's not dying, it's dead. I mean, without Jeff Bezos' money behind the Washington Post, that place is dead. I mean, you've got an ATM that's unlimited in money that just wants to be in the newspaper game. You know, I mean, it's like, yeah, let's do that. Here's $1 billion. You'll never go out of business.
Enjoy that.
Right? So, to me, this is, if I stay in media for 40 years, I've been in it for 15 years. If I do this for another 25 years, hell, to this date right now, if you went out and polled people within the industry that have worked with me, around me, on projects with me, I'm sure you could find 5 to 10 to 12 people that may not like me, didn't like the experience, didn't like the time we spent together, didn't like working aside me. Just like I could in probably every industry, in every trade that exists with people that work there. It's probably hard to go find a unanimous, glowing report on any employee person that has been in a relationship, a employment relationship for plus 10 years. Right? Not so much 40 like Mulkey has been in college basketball. So you want to go out and find 10 anonymous former players to give you stories about a coach that you didn't like how she treated you? To me, that's a very easy thing to do. That would be that take you 2 years? It takes 2 years to do that? In a competitive locker room environment where people talk to one another with some real life stuff, face to face, get in each other's face, cuss a little bit sometimes, maybe try and get in the best out of them to motivate them. Again, I'm not making excuses. I'm just talking about that's that world. You could write that piece on Nick Saban if you wanted to. You could write that piece on John Calipari if you wanted to. You could write that piece on Gino Auriemma if you wanted to. You could write that piece on Lane Kiffin if you wanted to. I mean, I'm trying to take a personality, take a coach, take somebody, anyone that's been in the business for a significant amount of time in any trade and go out and find more than 5 people that didn't like the experience with him and her. That's okay. I mean, what am I going to read this week from the Washington Post? You know what? I have no idea what's in that story. You know what I believe's in that story? Some type of work environment that was tough on people. Maybe a work environment where sexuality was not talked about openly. A work environment where people were maybe not asked and open to bring other life experiences into the locker room. It was really just kept about basketball. Ultimately, at the end of it, those are going to be what the stories are about, right? Like, I got my feelings hurt because I couldn't do this. Okay. You knew that when you signed up. You knew the personality when you were being recruited by her. It's not like she's changed who she is significantly from the time when she was, playing shortstop on the boys teams in Tangipahoa Parish to the time she's become the LSU women's basketball coach. She's really the same person all the way through. What's pissed everybody off so much over the last 4 years? That she took a stance on the vaccine? That she tells you who she likes, what she feels, her feelings. She's not shy to sit on those. She's open enough and confident enough to just tell you what she feels, tell you what's on her mind. Everybody wants the truth until they get the truth. I mean, how many times have we sat in our seat from a media standpoint and said, I don't really like that subject. They don't open up. They don't tell us what you like. They don't tell us what's going on. They're always closed off. Then you get open, honest, transparent. You say, whoa, that's way too much. We can't handle that. That pisses me off. Or that doesn't vibe with what I believe, so I'm going to go at her with this and try and peel up things because of that, her stance on that. It's like, I mean, that's what our world has become. That we can't just have our own opinions, our own thoughts, okay, that's how she feels. That's how he feels. That's how they feel. But I mean, everything has become so politicized. It all goes back to politics. Everything goes back to politics. It's crazy. We can't even talk about sports anymore. Everything's so politics. I mean, I saw Jeff Pearlman. I know he's he quote tweets the Mulkey press conference, and the first thing he says is a Donald Trump voting supporter. It's like, yo, Jeff, like, how the hell do you know that for sure? And that's what you think about a women's college basketball coach? You got to bring her politics into? Who cares? Who cares? It's about watching her players play and the game. Everything goes back to politics. It's so weird. It's so strange to me. growing up in the time that I did it, I mean, you could have these conversations at a table. You could have these conversations at work. You could have these conversations in passing. Everything is so flammable. Everything is so hot. You can't talk about anything. It's so dangerous to really have this microphone every single day. You got to be very, very responsible. Now, look, I don't have views, use terminology, have the vocabulary that, really could walk the line of getting in trouble. That's why I'm confident on this microphone every day. I mean, I see people for who they are, the individual. I'm not trying to politicize. Whatever your politics are, okay. You have a good vibe? Are you cool? Come hang out. I mean, like, it just, I don't know. What am I missing? What are y'all laughing at?
Chat. People in the chat, wow.
I mean, am I wrong here?
But I understand what you're saying. Like, I mean,
it's just everything's so flammable.
I think sports and politics kind of got mashed a little bit when I would say around 2015 when all the Colin Kaepernick stuff happened, and you kind of got his stance on the national anthem and things like that, and it kind of just got the world's just collided then, and ever since then it's been just sports and politics are like they mirror each other almost.
But it's not even just sport; it's everything.
Yeah,
it's not. It creeps into every
little piece of the world.
I mean, it's weaved into everything that you just, I mean, that's what I expect this Washington Post piece to be.
Yeah.
To go back to.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Like it's all going to come back to some right versus left, some red versus blue, some just political stance that, I mean, can we all agree that there's probably going to be a Brittany Griner piece in there? I mean, What are you going to learn about the Griner situation that you don't already know? From the way that I've read it is that Griner has been critical of Mulkey. Mulkey has said that Griner and her have spoken private. She's going to keep those comments to herself. They're in a good place, and she's not making any. It's not her place to make any comment about her status of what her citizenship is. She chose not to address it. Okay, next question. That turned in that she hates her and not supportive and was creating an environment that was uncomfortable. It's like, all of that for this? Okay, put it in the Washington Post story. I already know it, but what are you going to tell me that I don't already know? That Brittany Griner feels unsupported from Kim Mulkey? All right, I've known that for over a year. I know some people have their feelings hurt about that, but to me, that's a lot of wasted time and energy. That's how people feel about one another. Okay, move on. It's just so weird how everything's so political. And everything's so just like cut up and broken down to every word. It's like, no, I mean, it's not. It's just sports. I mean, it's just a basketball game. I mean, really? It's weird. It's strange. Strange how that's the world that almost people want. It's like, I mean, bringing up somebody's politics to talk about their career in college basketball. It's like, well, do the two men